Good morning, students. Today we are going to see about in botany the female reproductive part, that is gynecium. So last class we have seen about the male reproductive part. Okay, that is the pollen grain, structure of pollen grain. Today we are going to see about the female reproductive part, gynecium. So already you have studied in lower classes about the gynecium. The gynecium is the female reproductive part of the flower. So if you take the gynecium, it represents one or more pistil of a flower. So the word pistil usually refers to the ovary, the style and stigma. Usually a pistil is derived from a carpel. The stigma only serves as a landing platform for pollen grains. So last class we have seen about the structure of pollen grain. So when the pollen grains mature, it falls on a suitable stigma. So here the stigma only serves as a landing platform for pollen grains. So if you take the structure of the pistil, first one, the style. So if you take the style is an elongated slender part which is present beneath the stigma. So the basal swollen part of the pistil is the ovary. So at the basal portion of the gynecium, we can able to see the swollen part, that is the ovary. The ovules are present inside the ovary. The ovules are usually present inside the locules, that is the ovary cavity. Okay, so if you take the gynecium, it arises from a small papillae-like outgrowth of meristematic tissue from the growing tip of the floral pods. So if you see the gynecium, where it arises means arises as a small outgrowth of meristematic tissue from the growing tip of floral pods. So as soon as it grows actively, and then only it differentiated into ovary, style and stigma. The ovules, otherwise called as megasporangia. Usually the megasporangia arises from the placenta. So if you take the ovules which are present inside the ovary, the ovules may vary in number. So in the case of paddy, wheat and mango, we can able to see only one ovules in an ovary. Whereas in the case of papaya, watermelon and orchids, we can able to see many ovules in an ovary. They may ask in one word. The number of ovules which are present in an ovary, one in an ovary, may example paddy, wheat and mango, or many ovules, example papaya, watermelon and orchids. Are you clear, students? So this is the structure of gynecium. Now we are going to study about structure of ovule. So if you take the structure of ovule, the ovule is otherwise we can call it as megasporangium. Ovule வந்து நம்ம வந்து இன்னொரு பேர் என்ன சொல்றோம்னா megasporangium. It is also called megasporangium. So if you take the structure of megasporangium, the structure of megasporangium, we can able to see two protective covering. So the ovule, if you see the diagram, you can able to see clearly. So if you take the ovule, it has an protective covering that is only called as integument. The integument is nothing but the protective covering. So if you take a mature ovule, so if you take a mature, this is the diagrammatic representation of the ovule. So if you take the section of the ovule, the enlarged structure, diagrammatically they are given here. So if you take the structure of the ovule, we can able to see the outer covering, that is called as integument. So the mature ovule consists of a stalk. Stalk is nothing but a kambu, the flower and all, we are having that stalk, no? Similar to that, this ovule stalk irukkum, and the stalk, it consists of stalk and a body. The stalk of the ovule is called as funicle. The stalk of the ovule is called the, so if you see the diagram, you can able to see the funicle clearly. The stalk, this is the stalk of the ovule, that is funicle. Okay, so usually there is a the funicle is attached to the base of the ovule to the placenta. Placenta is nothing but the fleshy portion of the ovary part. So it is attached to the placenta. So the point of attachment of the ovule to the body of the ovule. So if you take the ovule, the point of attachment of the ovule to the placenta, the junction is only we called as hilum. So the junction, it represents the junction between the ovule and the funicle. So already I told funicle is the stalk of the ovule. So the point where it that junction where the stalk as well as the body attaches, it's known as hilum. Okay, so if you take the inverted ovule, if you see inverted ovule, the funicle is attached to the body of the ovule, forming a raised portion. The funicle is attached to the ovule by a raised portion, that is a ridge-like structure, that is called as raphe. Okay, so now the body of the ovule, if you take, means the body of the ovule, we can able to see made up of central mass of parenchymatous cells called nucellus. So if you see the diagram, so here it has the body of the ovule consists of a parenchymatous, the center portion that is given in blue, that is called as nucellus. It is made up of parenchymatous cell. In that nucellus only we can able to see the reserve food material. The food materials are stored in the nucellus, which are supplied to the developing embryo. So these one we can able to see it is made up of parenchymatous cells, which has only stored nutritive food substances. Okay, so the nucellus, if you take me, the nucellus, if you take, means it is made up of two protective covering. So if you see the diagram, the nucellus is well protected and it is protected by two coverings known as integument. So this is the blue color represent the nucellus, that is the reserve food materials which are stored inside the nucellus. So it is well protected by two coverings known as integument. So integument only encloses the nucellus. Integument encloses the nucellus. So if you take the integument, it encloses completely at the top. If you see the diagram, you can able to see it encloses the nucellus completely at the top. The integument encloses the nucleus completely at the top, and where it is free and having forms a pore called micropyle. So in the top it is completely enclosed, but at the lower portion we can able to see a small pore is called, that is called as micropyle. So if you see the diagram, we can able to see the micropyle. Micropyle is nothing but a small pore which is present in the lower portion of the integument. Okay, so if you take the ovule, the integument also varies. So if you take the ovule, ovule with one integument, the ovule with one or two integument is said to be unitegmic or bitegmic ovules. So if the ovule having one integument, it is called as unitegmic. Uni means one. If it is present two integument, it is called as bitegmic. Okay, so if you take the basal region of the body of the ovule, where the integument and the nucellus meet, that's the integument and the funicle meet or merge means join, that point is called as chalaza. So what is where the chalaza? The chalaza is the basal region of the body of the ovule, where the nucellus, the integument, the nucellus is here, and the integument and the funicle meet. These three parts meet at a particular point, that is only called as chalaza. That only we can call it as chalazal end. So can you able to understand clearly where the chalaza is? So the chalaza ங்கிறது எதுன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, the basal region of the body of the ovule, the nucellus, integument and the funicle, this three part, the மூணு பார்ட்டும் மீட் பண்ற இடம் தான் என்னன்னு சொன்னோம்னா chalaza. Okay, so if you take the ovule, there is a large sac-like structure in the nucleus. So the blue colored portion only is the nucellus. So in the nucellus, we can able to see the sac-like structure. Sac means a bag-like structure is present in the micropylar end. In the micropylar end, we can able to see the sac-like structure inside the nucellus, that is called as the embryo sac. So the center you can able to see here, that is the embryo sac. Embryo sac is nothing but the female gametophyte. They may ask in one mark which is the embryo sac, that is called as the female gametophyte. So usually the embryo sac வந்து எதுல இருந்து டெவலப் ஆகுறதுன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, so it develops from the functional megaspore which is formed within the nucellus. So nucellus குள்ள இருக்கிற functional megaspore தான் இந்த embryo sac டெவலப் ஆகுது. Okay, so if you take in some species, that is unitegmic means already I told only one integument, and the inner layer of the integument may become specialized. The inner layer of the integument in some species, either which have only one integument or 10 uninucellate. That is the inner layer of the integument. Integument உள்ள inner layer வந்து என்ன ஆகுதுன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா become specialized to perform the nutritive function of the embryo sac, and it is called as endothelium or integumentary tapetum. So they may ask in 2 marks, what is endothelium or integumentary tapetum? This one we can able to see in the family Asteraceae. So endothelium or integumentary tapetum na என்னன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா, the inner layer of the integument உள்ள inner layer வந்து to form a specialized part to perform the nutritive function of the embryo sac. Embryo sac உடைய nutritive function வந்து இந்த inner layer of the integument பண்ணுதுன்னா அது பேர் என்னன்னு சொன்னோம்னா endothelium or integumentary tapetum. Example Asteraceae. Okay, so next we can able to see that there are two types of ovule. So if you take the two types of ovule, how they have divided the two types of ovule means based on the position of the sporogenous cell. So have you heard about sporogenous cell? Yes. So that sporogenous cell we have seen in the structure of anther. So in the anther, if you see means we can able to see the sporogenous cell and the parietal cell. So usually based on the position of the sporogenous sporogenous cell வந்து எந்த பொசிஷன்ல எந்த இடத்துல இருக்குதுன்னு பார்த்து அதை வச்சு பேஸ் பண்ணி ரெண்டு ovule they have divided into two types of ovule. So if you take the sporogenous cell which is present in the hypodermal with the single layer of nucellar tissue, it is called uninucleate nucellate type. So when the sporogenous cell is hypodermal, that is next to the epidermal layer க்கு below la இருக்கிற hypodermal layerல the sporogenous cell having a single layer of nucellar tissue. அப்படி அந்த மாதிரி சிங்கிள் லேயர் ஆஃப் நியூசெல்லர் டிஷ்யூ ஹைப்போடெர்மல் லேயரில் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அது பேர் என்னன்னு பார்த்தோன்னா uninucellate type. Okay, so if you take the 10 uninucellate type of ovules, a very small nucellus. So in that type we can able to see very small nucellus. So second type if you take that is called as crassinucellate. So crassinucellate பார்த்தோம்னா அது எங்கே இருந்து டெவலப் ஆகுதுன்னு பார்த்தோம்னா ovules which is present with sub-hypodermal sporogenous cell வந்து sub-hypodermal இருந்துச்சுன்னா that is called as crassinucellate type. So based on the position of the sporogenous cell எந்த இடத்துல இருக்குது, whether it is present in the hypodermal cell or in the sub-hypodermal cell, hypodermal cellல இருக்குதா அல்லது sub-hypodermal cellல இருக்குதான்னு பார்த்து அதை வச்சு two types of ovules divide பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. One is 10 uninucellate, another one is crassinucellate. Okay, so normally if you take the ovules have very large nucellus. Okay, so if you take a group of cells found at the base of the ovule, if you see the diagram between the chalaza and, which is the chalaza and the embryo sac, it is called as hypostase. And the thick-walled cells formed above the micropyle, above the embryo sac, that is called as epistase. So there are two types. This may asked in, they may asked in 2 marks. 2 marks la ungalku kekkalam. So what is meant by hypostase? So group of cell which is found at the base of the ovule, which is found at the base of the ovule. This is the base, this is the upper portion. So they have given for in the diagrammatically they have given inverted. So at the base of the ovule we can able to see that is between the chalaza and the embryo sac. So chalaza is here and embryo sac is here. Between the chalaza and the embryo sac, the group of cells found at the base of the ovule, it is called as hypostase, and a thick-walled cell which is found above the micropyle and the embryo sac. Micropyle-க்கும் embryo sac-க்கும் நடுவுல இருந்துனா thick group of cells, that is thick-walled cells which is found above the micropyle and the embryo sac, it is called as epistase. So this is the structure of ovule. This is very, very important question in practical point of view as well as theoretical point of view.